board members? Are you ready?
I'm scared.
Everybody ready? All right.
Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, let me speak into my private microphone.
Okay.
My lapel private secret microphone.
Okay, so welcome everybody to our April 14th, 2016 Board of Directors meeting. The first order of business is we are going to have the organizational part of the meeting. The purpose of the organizational meeting is for the board members to select the officer positions on the board. As a reminder, we do have president, vice president, CFO, secretary, and four, I think we miscounted. We have 3 directors. We got a typo here. Okay, so generally we would have those that are interested in filling a position volunteer, and if there are no other volunteers, then that person would fill that position. If there are multiple people interested in filling a position, then there would be a nomination, and then there would be a board vote for that position. So I'd like to start with the position of board president. Is there anybody volunteering to serve for that position?
I'd like to volunteer.
Okay. We have Claudine. Any others? Lynn Tavernetti? All right, so since we have multiple people
I'd like to
volunteering.
back out.
You're backing out?
I'm back out. I didn't know Lynn wanted it. I didn't know who wanted it.
Was there some thumb wrestling that went on that I
No, we have not
missed
even
something?
discussed that. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's good.
I'm sorry, we did not even discuss that.
Perfect.
But I knew you talked about, you personally, you and me talked about the process. And so I knew someone needed to, and
Okay, so any other takers for board president? If not, thank you, Lynn, for volunteering. You are our 2016-17 board president. Okay, the next position is vice president.
I'd like to
volunteer for that, please.
Are there any other volunteers for vice president? Thank you, Claudine, for volunteering to serve as the vice president. CFO. Anybody interested in serving as CFO? Okay, if there's no volunteers, then that position will remain vacant, and you can come back and organize it at a future meeting for somebody to fill that position. Our next position is secretary.
And I volunteer for that position.
Thank you, Jean. Any other volunteers as secretary? Okay, the rest of the positions are filled by our delegate-appointed board of directors. Thank you so much. So we have our seated board of directors. Congratulations. Okay, so the next order of business is to have our Pledge of Allegiance. So if everyone can please stand. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, as our newly appointed board president, I'm going to play a lot of eye contact with Lynn as far as going through the agenda items. Our first order of business is the introductions and the establishment of a quorum for our meeting. So I'll start at the far end. We have Lynn Tavernetti, our board president, Jean Sandoval, board secretary, Kevin Metcalf, board director, RJ Hernandez, board director, Claudine Diaz, board vice president. We also have Eric Czar, our assistant general manager. I'm Jerry Mupo, your general manager. I also have Cindy Graves, our activities director, and out in the background we have Tad Creasy, our regional manager, and Nellie Alcacer, our executive assistant. Next Next item on the agenda is our announcements. I believe that Lynn wanted to give some announcements.
First of all, Claudia and I are very pleased to join Jean and Kevin and JR here on the board. I think many of you know I have a bit of a military background. You'll hear that from time to time. One of the pieces of advice we were always given is it's always best to take over an organization that's in deep trouble and at the bottom because you can only go up. It's really tough to take over an organization that's doing very well and it's at the top. So we've got a tough assignment. We have a very, very good organization here. We have very good homes, a very good layout, and it didn't happen by accident. It happened by some dedicated people working long hours, doing a lot of hard work to get us to where we are today. Two of those people, Jackie and Wayne, helped and drove to make that happen. And I want to thank them for all their hard work and wish them well in doing something else in the future.
Claudine, you also wanted to make an announcement?
First, I'd like to thank the outgoing board members. They did their job, and they did it to the best of their abilities. And I want to thank them very much for their time. They put a lot of time and effort in. I'd also like to thank all the people that supported me. You were so good. Plus, when I did my canvassing, I'll use that term, I met so many marvelous people that live in this community, and thank them all for their votes and for their just wanting to be a part of this community. Thank you all.
Okay, so one last announcement is we did skip over the builder update forum. We did receive one question, and that was regarding there not being any dock stations on Four Seasons Circle in the new areas. And I have communicated with Kevin as far as what the plan is. He has checked the plans, and it does call out for some dock stations. So we look forward to having those installed fairly soon. So thank you, Kevin. Okay. All right, our next item on the agenda is homeowner input. And I will remind everybody that we are limited to 3 minutes per homeowner, and only one request to speak form may be submitted per homeowner. There will be no sharing or passing of time to another person. Homeowner input may be held for a maximum period of 30 minutes before the board meeting begins to allow the board to proceed with the business portion of the meeting. This portion of the meeting is limited to board participation only. Residents are welcome and encouraged to stay for the full meeting to witness the business of the corporation taking place by your governing agents. And I do have a number of speaker forms. So we're going to start with Wayne Stables. Just a reminder, if our speakers could please speak directly into the mic so everyone can hear your message.
Push the button, Wayne.
Now, Wayne Staples, 254 Kings Canyon. I'd like to first congratulate both of the new board members. I have personally congratulated both of them. And I would like to thank everyone who has supported me for the past 8 years on the board. I'm very proud of what we have accomplished in those 8 years. And I would just like to thank those who voted for me and supported me this year and helped me try to get reelected. You probably haven't seen the last of me. I'm not going to go anyplace. I'm taking a little while off and considering how I'm going to serve this community in the future.
Thank you, Wayne. Our next speaker is Jackie Snedden.
Jackie
You hear me? You know, I'm talking to soft, so Jack Stanton, 1579 Turtle Creek. I also thank you for your kind words. I want to say thank you. It's been my pleasure for the last 7.5 years to be a member of the board and to work with a team that has brought this community to where we are today, with our beautiful facilities and well-maintained grounds, our solid financial position, and policies and procedures in place to assure that the work of our community is done effectively and efficiently. I want to thank the many residents that I worked with over the years and served on the committees. It was your research and wealth of information and help and talent that allowed us as a board to make the right decisions and the best decisions for the community. I want to thank the builder also for listening to us when we would pass along our wants from the residents and whenever possible accommodating those requests. I'd also like to thank very much is our First Residential, previously Euclid, staff for their indispensable support, without which we could have never reached the goals that we set. I will miss working. It's like retiring again. I managed to work with this community since May of 2006, first on committees and on the board, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience. And as Wade said, you won't see the last of me. I will be here watching because I put 10 years into this community and I want to see it continue to meet the goals that are set by the residents and by the board. So best of luck to you all. I hope that you are able to go through the experiences that we have, the past board members have, and keep strong, patience. I would say patience, put that on the top of your list every morning. Patience. It all works out. So thank you.
Next speaker, thank you, Jackie. Next speaker, Ron Morgan.
Ron Morgan, 180 Salt Creek. I want to welcome the new board members to this premier position that you have, and to encourage them to do their best to continue this wonderful path we've been on as an association and for the development of this community. I would also like to thank Wayne Staples and Jackie Snedden for their continued help with all the growth of this community. I've been honored to serve with them on the rules and regs for all these years, and being guided by them with their expert knowledge on how to run this association and for the progress that we have made for these 8 years. I truly thank them from the bottom of my heart. It's been a joy to serve with them and to just understand the knowledge that they had to help lead us and guide us. I will miss you both. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. Our next speaker, Toby Lambert.
Toby Lambert, 391 Arroyo, District 9, and I'd like to also congratulate the new members. Thank you for your service. I'm here today to talk about just 3 brief things. One, an event that happened on 327 where there was outdoor loud speakers that were happening at the summit. We were rudely awoken by it. My understanding is the board approved this event, and one of the reasons that my wife and I moved here, we own 2 residences here, and one of them is because of the rules and regulations that we all agree to. And in the rules and regulations, it specifically prohibits loud noises, specifically speakers, loud speakers. So If the previous board approved this, why did you approve this event? And why was this a special interest event to awaken everybody? The second concern I would have would be the security. So I personally witnessed the security in the parking lot with the lights on during this event, and they didn't do anything about it. Don't they work for us? So that's a concern. What is their role and responsibility? When I sent this email, Jerry was very kind to call me and respond, and she encouraged me to come discuss this with you today. So in the rules and regulations, there's numerous responsibilities that have to happen regarding insurance certificates and all that. We would hope as residents and HOA members that the board enforce this and not provide special interest groups, right? That's not what this community is about. That's why we moved here. And then lastly, I've been talking to Jeff on the architectural review representative, and he's been informing us about all the illegal lighting that's happening. And I believe there's a good article in the March Breezes magazine concerning all the illegal lighting, and I'd like to know the status of that. Are we getting this handled? I know there's a process, but one of the rules and regulations are no illegal lighting like there is, and there's a lot of it. So it only doesn't follow the HOA guidelines, but it also is against city law, city regulations. So I'd like to hear what the board is planning on doing about this and how quick can we expect that. That's one reason why we all moved down here, is because we like everything that's here. And it seems like a lot of residents are abusing the privileges. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby. It's up to the board if they wish to respond to any of the items, or we can research these matters and provide a response back to the homeowner. I'm looking for guidance on how to address the homeowner questions.
Okay, I can respond to the Easter services that were held. Did you say the 23rd or whatever that is?
Sunrise.
We did approve them, but they had specific criteria that they needed to follow. I can speak much louder. Is this better? Yes. They had specific criteria that they needed to meet prior to having their event. And I guess it appears that they did not cover that criteria. So in response to all of the board members, we have set up, I don't know, what do you want to call it? We have asked this person to come in and talk to us and give us an explanation on what had happened and let him give his side of the story, and then we can get back to you on that. As far as the lighting is concerned, I guess it can go back to you because I don't know a whole lot about that one.
I will need to speak with the Architectural Review Committee to find out what their current process is as far as reviewing the lighting that's installed for the homeowner packages. And if somebody is installing something that's outside of their approved application, then that would be addressed through our enforcement process. So there are periodic site reviews completed, and if it is noted that somebody has installed anything that is outside of the compliance of our community guidelines, it is addressed as an enforcement issue. And that we are aware of some. We just want to make sure that we are catching all of them. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. The security role, I will check and see what patrol's post orders are as far as patrolling the community. I know, my understanding is at this time they have been advised to patrol for parking infractions at this point. If it does include observing and reporting any other infractions, then I'll make sure that they're aware that that is part of their contract and their obligation. So again, let me review the contract, speak with the patrol company, and I can get back to you on that. Did the board wish to add anything to that response? All right, can we have our next speaker? And it's Marion Loney. Thank you. You have such an unusual name. I don't want to mispronounce it.
I'm Marion Yanolavich Loney. I live at 137 My issue, we moved in 4.5 years ago this year, and everybody's
That's an Amber Alert. So we know it works.
Does this count against my time?
No.
That's better? Anyways, about 4.5 years ago, Rick and I moved in, and we were attracted to Slippery Rock Creek, a beautiful street, quaint street. It's also been called the Disney Street because of the pavers. And we have a lot of neighbors from neighboring streets that come and walk in on our area. And about 4 years ago, rumors were going around that the street was going to be torn up and paved. Well, those rumors went away. Well, they're
I didn't hear what you said.
Anyways, the rumors are starting up.
Tear up the street.
And I just want to find out, come directly to the source. Is there any intention of tearing up our wonderful, beautiful pavers?
I have not heard that rumor, but that doesn't mean that I am privy to every single rumor in the community. I would look to the board to see if they have heard any recommendations or suggestions from any committee members or community members. Is anybody aware of it? It sounds like it's false.
Thank you. We have some jealous people, and we have some people that just love our street as much as we do, so I'm pleased. Thank you.
You're welcome. Our next speaker is Dale Beckies.
Hi, thanks. Dale Beckies, 460 Boise Road. First, I'd like to see the aisle back in the middle. It's a little hard to navigate, as you can see. Anyway, I just have a very simple question or remark. I'm hoping that we'll see published a list of the voting results. We know who won, congratulations, not by the way. It would be nice to know what the actual numbers were. I'm hoping that would be...
It is posted on the bulletin board over at the Lodge by the Bistro. It was posted on Monday. It's also on the website as well, and it will be included in the billing statement, so any homeowner that doesn't come to the lodge will also be able to see it.
Okay, thanks. I was out of town.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes, you're welcome. Oh, and Facebook. It is posted also on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. I'm not sure if anybody knew that. Our next speaker is Leanne Lee.
My name is Lian, 1470 Peterson Park. I'd like to present my observation about the ad hoc committee. Okay. First, I would like to thank the ad hoc committee members who contributed their time and effort in making recommendations to a variety of issues related to our community. It seems to me that the same members make various recommendations to various issues from same people. KHOF spent a lot of money for a team of experts to design this community, and they did a wonderful job to attract us to purchase homes here. Any configuration or renovation of the interior and exterior of the building is going to be the last resort. after exploring all of the options with the experts in their particular field. This is a beautiful community, and it's really true, but with some flaws. For example, some activities are outgrowing the areas such as ping pong, bocce ball, and the wood floor in the ballroom for line dance and the ballroom dance. I strongly believe that there are many experts and experienced members in our community. They are our treasures, and we are fortunate to have them. According to the nature of the issues, I would suggest that we get input from experienced members with expertise in a particular field in order to be more cost-effective and proficient. Different issues require expertise for each particular project. I do not recommend a fixed ad hoc committee. After the final recommendations are made, the board makes its presentation to the community members. I understand no one is able to please every single person, but most likely it is going to get the majority's approval from this process. And then my solution I think I'm going to offer is, whenever an issue coming up, we need a certain particular ad hoc committee. Please let the committee member knows and accept application and qualification, and we screen from there. Hopefully we get the best people for our beautiful community and then keep going. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Our next speaker is George Wager.
Congrats, I'm so glad to see someone else here. George Wager, 104 Crane Creek, person who pushes back when you get pushed. You hear me? I'm sure you didn't like that mine.
Hold it up, George.
Speaking.
What?
There you go.
All right, let's start over. That's half a minute. George Wager, 104 Crane Creek. Okay, I'm gonna push it back when you get pushed. Okay, I got a question. Do you have some kind of way that you purchase things? My understanding from Lou, who was telling me about you guys, they were about to buy a $3,000 can cooling machine for the bistro. Is that true? That's, Lou said that's to be purchased, $3,000 thing that keeps your Coca-Cola cold. Somebody say yes or no? Okay, I don't know. Lou told me that was going to happen, and I want to let you know, I've been in the food business 40 years. That unit is free. You call Coke, you call Pepsi, it's free. Don't spend my $3,000. If you want a $25,000 walk-in refrigerator freezer, I had one. You could have had it for free. Okay, you bought a $25,000 Steinway piano, and the only person who could play it was the HOA member's wife. That is a violation of... Initially, that's the way it was done. Did you approve the 25 grand as I did? Okay? You're wrong. You're wrong. Okay. This is not a place to air dirty laundry, but somebody needs to look at that. But I'm sorry, maybe people are here. We'll talk about this. This is too easy a thing to do, not to do that. And you know this is in person. Okay, you're on your own.
George. Our next speaker is Louise Lyon.
Good afternoon. I'm not looking for money. Like many, if you want to give it to me. Welcome to the new board, and a big thank you to our management staff, Jerry and Eric and Cindy, the dynamic duo plus one. They keep this place buzzing. Oh, there she is, right there. And all of your staff, they do such a wonderful job. And I'd like to give a big thank you to Jackie and Wayne, who for the past year, past 2 years, really have helped on the rules and regs. Jackie has been there the whole time, and I've been on rules and regs for a while, and she is my #1 wordsmith. I almost called her to ask her how to write a letter. It had nothing to do with rules and regs. She's so good. But thank you very much for all of your hard work and holding our hands and getting things done and knowing, always knowing what needs to be done. And that's so important. The liaison position is just very, very important. And thank you for doing such a fabulous job. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. I don't have any other homeowner input forms, so we'll proceed with the agenda. And the first order of business is our consent calendar. And the purpose of our consent calendar is to make a single motion to approve all included items. If for a particular reason an item needs to be discussed or pulled from the consent calendar, then a call to remove that item should be made by a board member. The items currently on the consent calendar include the March 10th, 2016 Board of Directors meeting minutes, also the January and February 2016 financial statements, investment plan, financial analysis requests, and there are no liens or foreclosures for approval actions.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I second.
We need a motion first.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept the consent.
I have a motion to approve the consent calendar. Those in favor?
I make a motion that we accept the Secretary's report and the financial information as presented.
Thank you. And I believe Jean seconded. Good job. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the treasurer's report, but as we have not filled that position, I would recommend that you table the report until the May meeting. Does anybody object?
No. Can I ask how that position can be?
Sorry.
The treasurer's position, CFO position, can be appointed by the board at any time. So at the next meeting, you can hold another organization meeting and appoint to the vacant positions.
Okay. Now, can that position be held by?
Can that position be held by an existing board member?
The CFO position or the
No,
treasurer?
the treasurer's.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the report on the executive session. And I believe we have a slide for that. I think I was allotted my 3 minutes and I'm up. Okay, Lynn, I believe you wanted to just briefly review what is included with our executive session packet and go through what was included so everyone is not wondering.
Yeah, part of what we want to attempt to do over the next several meetings is shine a light on some of the mysteries that we think exist around here, simply because we hear terms and we kind of wonder what they are. Every month prior to this event, a packet gets sent out, actually 2 packets, what the agenda items are and the information that's in them. One goes for the executive session and one goes for the general board session like we're in now. For this month, the one for the executive session, you see the contents up there. The cover and the agenda and the minutes are pretty self-explanatory. We review the delinquent accounts, small claims, suspended privileges, and any hearings. And we discuss any issues and rules violation. Usually the top portion of what you see there on the agenda is something that's been continued because something has happened, we've taken some action and we've gotten a response or the situation corrected, so it kind of breezes through kind of fast. And when we get down to the bottom one there, and that's usually new information, and so we have to decide how we're going to take action and do it. And because it involves personnel's names, it's privileged information, we don't publish it, but that's more or less what the session, it takes place outside of the view of the people. And you can see there's not really that much to it, unfortunately. We were expecting to find all sorts of secrets, but there's just nothing there.
Can I?
Go on to the next one.
Can I?
Okay. In the bylaws, the governing documents, we talked about, did we skip something?
Kind of. I think Eric's going back to the governing documents.
Yeah. Keep pace. Wasn't there one on the board packet?
Do you want the open board packet?
Yeah. The full board packet. There we go. Okay. That's in the open session board packet. It was 171 pages. This is the first half of it. You can see a bulk of it there is the financial analysis, and it includes all sorts of information on what was spent. We have 58 contracts for services that we handle. We look at each one. Some of them are just bills, you know, for the lights, the water, the services that we get if we rent TVs, movies, things like that. Some of them are for actual work, but it gives us a feel just as if you sat down and went over your household budget. So we look at that and see, you know, is it reasonable? Did we in fact get the service? And we pay the bill on that. We look at all of the committee minutes. The packet has come out ahead of time to us, so we've had a chance to go through and look at all of them. They're obviously posted on the web page, so those of you who were unable to attend a committee meeting that you wanted to attend, they're there, and we look at every single committee one to see if there's information there that the board needs to interject into. Applications for use of the facility and events request, and there's some association statistics, and I'll cover that in just a minute here. One. We track the work that's being done here by the staff. Any reports that have come in to us from outside sources or even inside sources, we'll review those. We get correspondence, the suggestions that have been turned into the suggestion box, where those have been assigned. We will be assigning all suggestions to one committee or another so that we can get their input as we address the solution to a suggestion. And then any proposals that are going to come before the board. So that's 171 pages that's in a board packet, and that's probably a typical packet. So that's the information that we do, researching, getting ready for this meeting. Okay.
Yes, Claudine.
I just want to add to that the closed session is, as is in any other business, an organization, is strictly to deal with legal matters, personnel matters. Those matters that we discuss in that are to keep the privacy of those people involved in those. And no other decisions on the normal open board minutes or open board agenda are discussed at that time. We save those till this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudine. Okay, so running through some of the topics on our agenda. On the report on the executive session, there was an executive session held this morning at 9 a.m. And some of the topics that were reviewed by the board and decisions made were, there were 10 delinquent hearings and 5 homeowners paid in advance of the meeting. The other 5 are in process or have had their privileges suspended. There were 3 enforcement hearings, and 2 homeowners received enforcement fines, and 1 homeowner received a brief time to correct the matter. And then there were 2 contracts that were renewed. The first one was internet sweeping for sweeping the streets once a month, and that was $815 a month with no change to the contract. And Sand Canyon interior plant maintenance for a cost of $225 per month with no change. Yes, we do have live plants in our lodge facility. A lot of people didn't know that.
Finally see.
So, okay, the next item on our agenda is the committee reports. And I didn't know if you wanted to address the committees at this time?
If the committee's chairpersons are here, yes, I'd like to hear them.
Okay, let's start with our architectural committee.
I'm Tom Halley, and I'm the co-chair of the Architectural Review Committee. On behalf of the committee, we'd like to welcome Claudine and Len, and we look forward to working with both of you. We have had a fairly busy month in March. We have gone through and updated the Architectural Review guidelines, and they're in the process now of being sent to rules and regs and to the board. We hope those will be out to homeowners sometime before the end of May. For the most part, there aren't changes. It's more like clarifications to the guidelines. During the month of March, we had 10 homeowners attend our 2 different meetings. We had 7 new applications, of which all 7 were approved. And during the month, we had 26 addendums and amendments. And of those 26, 22 were approved and 4 were disapproved. We also went out and did inspections on, we received 31 notice of completions. And of those, 27 of them have been completed and approved. So for newer homeowners, once you do submit your notice of completion, one of us will come out and get the great opportunity to see the wonderful backyard that you've done. We have changed our meeting times. We still meet the first and third Wednesdays of each month, but instead of 9 o'clock, we're now starting at 8:30. Part of that's due to the volume we've been getting over these past months. We need a little bit more time. We encourage homeowners to attend our meetings, especially if you have kind of a detailed and involved submission. It helps us when we have questions and need clarification. So, thank you.
Our next committee is Bill with the Bistro Committee.
I'm Bill Taylor, Chairman of the Bistro Committee. I'd like to welcome the new members of the board and thank the exiting board members. The Bistro Committee met on Tuesday, March 22nd. We discussed the various kitchen repairs. The 2 latch handles for the refrigerators have been replaced. The Finance Committee has approved purchase of the drink and dessert, underline the word dessert, cooler for the bistro. The present cooler is noisy and needs to be replaced. It is not a soft drink machine. It happens to have some bottles and cans of soft drinks in there, as well as bottles and cans of iced tea. Primarily, it's dessert. One of the advantages of the new one is in the evening, it can be locked up without taking all of the items out and putting them in the refrigerator in the kitchen. A preventive maintenance company needs to be found to service the kitchen equipment. The vendor has been identified. Management will call the vendor and set up an appointment for an interview. The committee meets on the 4th Tuesday of each month at 11 a.m. in the Lodge Conference Room. All homeowners are invited to attend. Thank you.
Randy with Communications.
You all know the Communications Committee is responsible for the breeze. And you'll probably have noticed for the last 2 deliveries, they actually came on time. That is a manufacturing plant. We've got a few things that are in front of the committee right now. One of them, we're expanding one more section in the breeze called the communication zone. And this is where the board will be communicating back out to you guys in addition to everything that's already been in the breeze. And we're going to be providing further detailed information to the board later on that subject. Again, we were asked about obituaries, and to us, we call them farewell to friends. It's hard to do obituaries in this type of environment because it touches so many people's hearts. So we have to limit the amount of information that we can put in there and what we try to do. And so that feature's available, but we're doing some more research, and again, that subject is going to be reported back to the board on. And also, we're looking at letters to the editor. We discussed it at our last meeting and have agreed that it was a topic we liked, and we're further investigating it, and we're going to provide that information back to the board on that. That's it.
Our next committee is Emergency Preparedness. Fred?
I'm Fred Webb, one of the 3 co-chairs of the Emergency Preparedness Committee. Since our last HOA board meeting, the Emergency Preparedness Committee hosted a presentation last week and had Officer Chris Harwood from the City of Beaumont's Animal Control officers come and speak to us. And he also had lots of brochures there as well. I mentioned a couple of things that were perhaps relevant to a lot of the pet owners here. Things that pet owners can do for their pets in preparation for sudden relocation as if an emergency situation develops. I also talked about the importance of licensing cats and dogs and having their dogs microchipped. The city offers getting dogs microchipped for $20, which is cheaper than a lot of the veterinary places, and offers lifetime licensing for $8. The lifetime licensing comes with restrictions in terms of being able to show just printed matter that you have had your dog periodically inoculated against all the requirements. He also mentioned that from April to October, with warmer weather, snakes, including rattlesnakes, are more likely to be out and about, so pet owners walking their dogs on our trails should be vigilant to keep their dogs on a leash. And since Four Seasons Beaumont was constructed, and it is still being constructed, in habitat that once belonged exclusively to bobcats and mountain lions and snakes and a multitude of other less threatening animals, Officer Harwood encouraged residents to not leave outside their home at night cans of water or dog or cat food. Many of the wilder critters are nocturnal and roam around looking for food and water, and oftentimes any food will do. At our last monthly meeting, we passed out a schedule relating to which local cities are hosting the Community Emergency Response Training. It used to be we'd go locally here to the City of Beaumont, and Rick Cook, retired, he was the Director of Emergency Services. They've now changed some staff members, and they're going to be cranking up that service again this summer. When we have specifics, we'll be glad to pass it along. Our goal for 2016 is to increase recruitment, not only on our committee, but on our response teams. And once we get them on our response team, we want to enhance their attendance with training. Once they get the training, we'll look to having another tabletop disaster exercise like we did last year. We've lost some key players due to people moving away and resigning due to health reasons. Our next meeting on the Emergency Preparedness Committee will be this Tuesday, April 19th at 10 o'clock here in the lodge. And we're looking forward to seeing new visitors and new members. Right, Ryan? Okay, thanks a lot.
Our next committee chair is Carol with the Rules and Regs Committee.
Good afternoon. The Rules and Regs Committee meets on the second Tuesday at 9 o'clock in the conference room. We would like to take this opportunity to thank Wayne and Cheryl, I'm looking at you, yes, Lynn, you loaned us Wayne, and Jackie, for letting them be the liaisons on our committee. Their guidance has been invaluable. Also, we are looking forward to working with our new board members and congratulations to both of you. Our last meeting, we worked on our new committee roster. We are also looking at concerns for temporary structures, guidance on rules for drums, and use of the billiard room. Thank you.
I don't see any other committee chairs. Lynn, did you want to review the slides that you prepared regarding
Yeah,
committees?
go ahead and do
You can
that.
go ahead and set that up, Eric.
Okay. We're looking at making some changes in the way we address the whole committee system here for standing committees, not ad hoc committees, because they will come and go. And they may be repopulated from time to time, but would probably stay on the books. We're going to go through a series of investigations that will include this week, coming week. I will meet along with Jean and Claudine with all the committee chairs to discuss a proposal that has been delivered to the association regarding term limits for the committees. And we want to get the input from all the committee chairs. We will turn around after we have their input, and we will provide guidance down to the Rules and Regulations Committee as to what type of information they should address and collect before they deliver any final recommendation to us. And we will probably recommend that they hold a town hall meeting to get community input as well. It's a very sensitive subject. And we want to make sure when we do it, we get it right. And we address all of the issues before we ask the community to vote on it. So you can be sure that will be coming down over the next couple of months. Okay. These are the committee charters, and give you a second to read it or two. I know most of you have committed the CCNRs to memory and don't need this. I do. Anyway, if you look down there at the second half where it talks about liaison duties, calling attention to past board actions that are relevant to the current matter. In the week, Claudine and I have been directors. We have very scanty history and probably can't do that. In essence, all of the duties that you see down there in the bottom half are performed by our staff. They are professionals, they are school trained, and they do that work. While it looks like we have the directors doing it, in fact, we directors look to the staff to provide that information to us. And so that causes us to question whether or not having a liaison is mandatory for committees. And one of the things we probably will be recommending has to do with the mandatory need for liaisons at the committees. Of course, any board member at any time can visit any committee, and any committee chair at any time can request a board member to attend, depending upon the subject matter that they want to attend. But whether or not it's mandatory they attend, that is something we will be looking at. Next. If you go back to the early board, this is 2007. This was at a time when the board was, president was an appointed one from the builder. Juan Corona was our board president. None of the directors from the builder, who really were the experienced people in how to run committees, serve as a liaison on a committee. What we had on the committees from the board were the elected members who were as new as everyone else was to it. So you can see what in essence happens when a builder sets out to do things. Kevin, I don't want to tell you how you're doing your job, but I'm just going to surmise this. You're not going to rewrite CC&Rs and bylaws every time you start a new committee, new community. You're going to cut and paste, just like you're writing a term paper, and borrow from what you had before. We have been touted as the flagship development for KHO for 55 plus. We are larger by far than most of them that they have built. I'm fairly familiar with one up in Northern California with 450 homes in it. They do not have a permanent staff. Therefore, they do have to rely on their own members to do exactly what it said up there earlier. We are fortunate, we are large enough that we can support having a permanent staff who are school trained, who can reach back and get legal advice, historical advice, and other professional services. And so we're going to take advantage of that. And that makes us different. So we don't necessarily find it always in our best interest to operate like we were a small community when we are in fact a large community. And that's one of the changes that we'll be addressing. Okay. The problems that we have had in the past is one, I think I've talked about at the top. The second, with only 3 elected directors, it's difficult. We have a total of 11 committees that we're looking at right now, which causes us to double up and triple up. And that's not necessarily in the best interest. If we had 7 active board members here, all elected, doing that, it might be feasible. But what happens when you only have 3 is you concentrate all the information in a small number of people, and you unintentionally stop sharing information. And that's what we want to avoid, because you've collected it all yourself. It's difficult to remind yourself that you need to share it. That leads to what Claudine and I were told as we went around campaigning, the perception that there's a lack of communication, and we're trying to overcome that. When you have a board member in your committee meeting, it's hard to ignore the fact that the big gorilla is in there. But that is a fact. And some people may be intimidated whenever that happens. And we like to think as directors that when we speak, people listen. And if that is in fact the case, sometimes we inadvertently stifle discussion prematurely. And we want to make sure we don't do that. We have also a tendency with 3 people to think that, well, I'm on this committee and that committee and that committee, I will tell the other committees what's happening. But that quite often doesn't happen. So we end up with a situation where one committee may have an interest in something another committee is doing, but the information doesn't get shared until it's too late. And we've had a couple incidents where that's happened. Just to give you one example, when I was in the landscape committee, we take care of plants in a square area out there in a swimming pool area. The committee is busy buying new plants to go in there. At the same time, the facilities committee is submitting an order to put in a canopy area because one committee wasn't talking to the other committee. And we relied too heavily on information being shared, but it wasn't. So we want to change that and make sure that every committee knows what every other committee is doing. Right now, if a committee submits a proposal, it only goes to the Finance Committee. We can just as easily say, send it to all the committees, and if the other committee wants to say something within the same time limit, 24, 48 hours, they pop up and say something. If they don't care or they don't have any comment, they say nothing. It's a system called silent consent. Unless you object, you agree. And that slows down, does not slow down the train any, but it lets every committee know what every other committee is doing. So we'll be looking at that. Okay? And what you can see up there is there are a lot of ways to identify an action that's in process, working its way through the committees. First of all, we have the committee reports like you heard earlier today, and I hope that the next meeting we'll have a full complement of our committee chairs representing our committees here. We get the suggestions, like Jerry noted today. When the suggestion comes in, I've asked Jerry to immediately forward it down to the appropriate committee, and if she's not sure, pick one, and that committee chair will let you know that it's not my committee, but at the same time, if that information, that the suggestion came in and where it was sent, will be put on the website. And the website will be updated daily with the daily report, so you can log on every morning and you can see what happened yesterday, what happened today, and what happens tomorrow. If you don't have access to a computer, there'll be a paper copy printed out by the lodge attendant available to read, and there'll be a book in the library where you can go and look at it. So we'll try to get the information out as quickly as possible if something is being worked on. And if you want to go to that committee's meeting and provide input to it, then you'll know in advance and you can do that. So that's another way. On some of the actions, those with a high dollar value, those that are controversial, such as the one on committee membership, the board will put out guidance to the committee in writing that will say, this is the kind of information we will need in order to make a decision. That guidance will go to the committee chair, first in draft for the committee chair's comments back, saying, hey, I can't do this, or we want to do this instead. So we make sure that we're in sync with the guidance on the information we're working on. And then it will be posted on the web page, and again, a printed copy will be in the library, so you can go in there and read that. So you'll know what we have told the committees and how what information we're asking the committees to develop in order to make their recommendation back to us. So when they come into us with a recommendation, we won't say, well, did you think about this, or did you think about that, or take it back and redo it. We'll also advise the committee if we think a town hall is necessary to get a wider scope of opinions before we go into the process of mailing it all out and getting everyone to input as to whether they like it or not. So it'll be a more open process. And we'll suggest a timeline, and this is probably where we'll get some feedback from the committee chair saying the timeline is too short. Rarely do they ask us to shorten the timeline, but they'll probably ask us to extend it. The staff will alert us to any conflicts that are going on because they're infused throughout the committee structure. And I mentioned the silent consent process. And anytime a proposal comes in front of this board, the committee chair or the committee chair's expert will brief the proposal, or the proposal won't be tabled for us to look at. And it will include what is the requirement, what alternatives we've looked at, and how we've developed our recommendation. And we will expect the committee chair or that committee's expert to be able to answer questions, because we, like the rest of you, will be hearing and seeing the final product for the first time. And so you will hear all the information we have in order to make our decision. Next. I think that's it.
That's it. Thank you. Okay, so our next item on the agenda is committee information, and we do have 2 recommendations for appointment to committees. The first one is for the Rules and Regulations Committee. It is recommended that Tom Halley be appointed to the vacant position on the committee. And that would require a board motion and approval.
I'd like to make the recommendations we accept his request, their request for the position.
I second that.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
All in favor? There you go. All right, the second appointment is it is recommended that Jeannie Glanville be appointed to the Social Committee.
I make a motion that we.
Who is that?
Approve the recommendation for Judy Glanville to be a member of the Social Committee.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Then the next item on the agenda is the review upon and act upon any club or group application requests, which there were none. And then review and act upon homeowner facility use request. There was one, however, I don't see that it did require any board action at this time. It was for informational purposes. And then the next item is our favorite, Activities Director report, Cindy Graves.
You guys are so good to handle. I don't know how to do this quite. Where do I do my song and dance? All the way behind? In? Where? The shape is throwing me off. My feng shui is completely lacking. Okay, are we good? Are we good? Okay, once upon a time. No. There's actually not a huge amount to shepherd hook me off today with, so you're lucky. The first thing I wanted to just remind you guys about is the HOA garage sale. You know it's coming April 30th. So you can either buy your permit, it's only $7 at the lodge desk, and that takes care of all your advertising, and it takes care of your actual city permit too. So if you feel like you've got plenty of stuff to make fortunes on, feel free. We got lots of company coming on April 30th to go ahead and buy all your wonderful treasures. So don't miss that. The last day, by the way, to sign up, in case you happen to be a dawdler, is, what is it? Where is that? It's the week before. Okay, it's the Monday before, whatever that Monday is. Just make a note for you because it is really labor intensive to handcraft those maps of where each one of your garage sales are so that everybody can find them. So anyway, there you go. And contrary to popular belief, we actually have a really cool piano night. That's coming with our incredibly talented piano player extraordinaire, Sally White. And some of you got to taste her talents on the variety show on April Fool's Day. And she is fabulous. And some of you have actually been able to sit and sing along. So I love it because it's a great time for everybody, get the family together and meet in the lobby. And if you don't like to sing, you can hum. And she plays everything by ear, so she can literally play anything. I'm not kidding you. So it is a fun time. Think about that. It's Friday, May 8th at 6 p.m. And since we don't have the Christmas tree, where we can all gather around like we used to, come on down for little shots of family bonding. I love that. Okay. And then next is we're cool about me doing the social committee report for now? Okay. All right. As you know, our wonderful Melody is still fighting a good fight with cancer. And I'll tell you, what a heroine, what a brave gal. The fact that she comes down here You know, she barely has any hair now, you know, she's got her little front. She's just the most elegant queen on the inside, and she just projects it out, and she's thinking about the events all the time. That was her real focus through the struggle that she's having. So she's been down there with our wonderful Jeannie, who's had her own specialness recently, sorry, and our hearts are with you. And they have come in the midst of their own tragedies to create the most adorable, super labor intensive, tiny purses for the fashion show with silverware that fits in and little napkins that go right into. Major labor intensive. But that's the kind of commitment I'm talking about. I'm talking about committee members that really put their heart and soul into helping and making the community better in the face of their own challenge. So I want to give those gals a huge hand. I'm under my desk most of the time. But you guys really have the best neighborhood and community ever. And those are two amazing people who showcase that very thing. Thank you for everybody that participates. So guess what? It looks like we also have, I'm thinking about 10 tickets left for the fashion show that have just recently become available. So if you too would like a really cool souvenir that looks like a purse with little tiny silverwares and stuff in there, you will be able to buy a ticket up at the front desk. They're only $20 each. And honestly, it's going to be one of the best shows we have ever had with our vintage fashion show. I can't wait. I'm so excited. The music is totally awesome. There's going to be a really cool car in the front. Pink Thunderbird, so that you totally get into the ambiance, right, as you're coming up. And the dresses and the models, gorgeous, and it's all, like I said, 40s, 50s, and 60s. And if you like the fashions from Mad Men, you might have even remembered some of them yourself, you are going to love it. And she's such a historian. So I want, even if you wore those outfits, but you didn't know the history behind it, come and figure out how bitchin' you really were. Wear those outfits. You're gonna love it. Okay, and then next, I wanted to let you know that there is a desert boogie dance. It just sounds funny, doesn't it? A desert boogie dance that is gonna be happening free of cost to you guys on Friday night, April 30th, actually. It's that same night, actually, right? Oh, it's the 29th. Sorry. Oh, I know. Don't tell. Okay. It's a special date, though. I'm gonna feel older on that date, just so you know. But anyway, yeah. So if you want to boogie down, that is the night to do it. The 29th. And it's a little different kind of a dance, if any of you have been in there, right, girls? Wear comfortable clothing. There's a lot of free expression, shall we say. And even if you just want to, yeah, I'm wrapping it up. Thank you for the shepherd's hook.
Asking you the time of the event.
Oh, you're so polite. Okay, it's 5:30. Vivian, you know you can shepherd hook me anytime. Okay, but anyway, it's 5:30 at night, and we've had people, haven't we, who actually come and bring their dinner just to kind of watch it, right? Bring some wine and check it out. And then if you feel really, actually, you really were doing great that one night, huh? Oh yeah. So anyway, there you go. That's my report. There's no reason to be bored in this neighborhood, I am telling you. And if you need suggestions, you know where I live, under my desk in there. And remember, I'm not on the dark side. I'm on the light side here with all my peeps. So you can get me. Yes. Oh, I didn't forget it. You didn't. You have to give it to me. I don't automatically announce, girlfriend. We have 74 clubs. Okay, so guess what? Cheryl Howard has a brand new cool club card game. It's called Phase 10. I don't know if anybody's heard of that, but it's supposed to be a super fun game, right? It's at 3 p.m. in the RCN big lobby area, and it's on, help me out with the Mondays, we changed it too much.
Yeah, it's,
Second Monday?
second Monday, third Saturday.
Second Monday, third
Kickoff is
Saturday.
Saturday.
Which is this?
Okay, which is this Saturday?
Yeah, kickoff is this Saturday.
Okay, thank you. Kickoff this Saturday, you heard it twice, be there if you really want to have a good time.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
Monday.
Okay, are we good?
Yeah.
Yay, thanks for coming and filling all the seats today.
Very great.
Yes. Contrary to your comment, we are not the dark side.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
All right. How do I follow up with that? Okay, so our next item on the agenda is our management report. And in the board packet, on pages 68 through 103, these are the management updates and activity logs. And I was asked to review the information that the board sees in the packet because I'm sure everyone knows that we handle hundreds and hundreds of items that come through the office and the phone calls and the communications. So we provide a monthly summary as well as an individual report on every item that's being tracked through the community. So for example, the different columns, you'll see issues. You'll see new issues, total issues, closed issues, open issues. So for the month of March, we had a total of 458 issues that we were monitoring for a 30-day period. And you'll see the 458 under the total column. Yes, Claudine
would like to.
What type of issues are those? Just give me a kind of a general. Okay.
I'm going through.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so you'll see that the chart is divided up into different categories. And the first, after the total column, you'll see accounting. These issues are items, for example, if the Finance Committee makes a recommendation to purchase a CD, then we will open an issue and track that through its completion. If there is a recommendation by the board to remove a homeowner's late charge, an issue will be opened, and then we track that through completion. So anything that our corporate accounting department will handle will fall under this category. Concerns, a number of times we will get communications from homeowners. For example, the rules violation report, if somebody reports that there's let's say a trash can's being left out beyond the prescribed times, then this would fall under a concern. We open an item, we notify the resident that we've received their concern. We also include where that concern is being forwarded to. For example, is it being forwarded to the board for consideration? If maybe somebody wants to install a bench at the summit, then that would be opened up as a concern, and we track it through its completion. Correspondence, a lot of these items are the architectural files. So if we receive a new architectural application, we open up an issue, and then we will follow it through its completion. So you'll see that correspondence is one of the larger columns, and that's because the architectural committee is really busy working on all the new submissions for our new homeowners. General, that's the next column. It doesn't apply to really any of the other columns, so it's kind of a miscellaneous column. Without looking at the actual items, I don't have an example to provide. And projects are issues that will take longer than, say, 72 hours to complete. So we may initially receive a concern that we want to put a bench at the summit. And we all know that it has to go through safeties and facilities, then finance, and then to the board. We know it's going to take longer than 72 hours. So we open up a project item and we track it to its completion. And then the renewals, we haven't used this yet, but at some point, I think we should use it for tracking the renewals of our contracts and things that happen on an annual basis. And then our last column is our service. So if homeowners call in and say, I have a broken sprinkler, this would fall under a service because we expect that the sprinkler should be repaired within a 24-hour period. So that kind of gives you an overview of that portion of our report. I've got a next slide. Okay, so now that we know we have all these issues, we want to know how well we are responding to these issues. Because many years ago, the concern came back from board evaluations. How do we know that you guys are taking care of it? How long is it taking to respond to these issues to completion? So we started assigning time frames. And as you can see, we responded to 375 issues in less than 2 hours. We should be receiving it, and we should be entering it, and we should be forwarding it on to the next line for action within 2 hours. And that's our expectation. So you can see most of our responses has been within the 2-hour period, which I'm proud that we're that high at this point. So good going, staff. Okay, so our next slide, completion report. Again, it's a time frame we're trying to track to make sure things are not falling through the cracks and somebody's not just pushing out review dates. Oh, I don't want to deal with it today, so I'm going to push it out another week. Oh, I don't want to deal with it today. We're actually tracking the time frames in which these items are taking to complete. And you can see there's a variety of numbers. And if there's an issue that's kind of a difficult issue or more of a time restraint, such as purchasing pool furniture, it goes to the committee, safeties and facilities, they're selecting the appropriate furniture, then it goes to finance, then it goes to the board. Depending on when the information is available, we can be looking at several months at this point. So again, it's putting this in the forefront so we don't forget stuff. Our next slide. And then we are also providing a section of the report for the board, so they know when they get this report or they get these action items, they're looking at it saying, oh, out of all those things, I absolutely have to make a decision on these particular items. And we provide them our issue numbers so they can refer back to them. And then I did want to give a summary. I know you can't see it, but just this is an example of what our issue reports look like for each individual one of those items. And this particular issue is for the spa pool at the Summit repair. Okay, and I just kind of wanted to go through it. So it initially was entered on February 19th. And it was forwarded to Steve from Web Pools, who contacted the manufacturer. It was determined that it was under warranty, and then every single phone call, there's a phone call on March 2nd, a phone call on March 8th, a phone call on March 14th, a phone call on March 16th, a phone call on March 23rd, a phone call on March 28th, a phone call on March 29th, and a phone call on April 4th when we received information that the manufacturer has finally made the equipment and we have an installation date. So if there's ever any question on whether or not we're ignoring the issues, it's difficult to ignore the issues. I mean, these reports are available to our board members and to our staff members. And on a weekly basis, I'm reviewing it with Sapphire, Jeff, and Eric, and we go over every single issue, every single one, to make sure that there is no pushing forward with no activity.
How long do you think that's
How long do you think that's going to take?
I was asked by someone, what's happening?
What was going to take?
To get the pool?
The Summit is up and running. It is fully functional.
Now?
It was installed as of Tuesday, and the Summit pool has also been repaired, so everything is up and running.
It's all working properly.
Everything is working.
Thank you.
As of yesterday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jerry,
Yes,
let
Len.
me say something. I asked Jerry to provide his statistics any large corporation, any large company, even a builder of houses, wants to measure how the work is being done, and is it being done timely? What is the volume of work? I was quite surprised at the number of issues, 458 in a month. I was surprised when I read the report that Jerry just gave us. I often wondered, hey, does anybody check on to see where that damn part is for the spa heater? Yeah, every single day they're calling. Many of us at home have been calling for a repair or a problem. You know what it takes to sit on the phone. They're busy, or they put you on hold and drop you off. It's very, very time-consuming, very difficult. And when you look at the volume of work our staff does here, and I was very surprised to find out what this is. It's amazing, the service we're getting from them. And I'm very grateful for it. And, part of having a professional staff here is that we didn't, we'd have to have volunteers doing all that work. And so I think it's important that we, from time to time, read these kinds of reports and display them out here so we all appreciate what we're getting.
Thank you. Okay, so going forward under the management report, on page 104 is the summary of all the correspondence, and the summary includes the different types of correspondence that we're tracking, landscape requests, architectural requests, the letters that we are sending out to the membership or to the homeowners regarding their submitted concerns, response to emails. Any time that we are responding back to a vendor, a board member, a homeowner, or an outside party, that is being tracked on this correspondence log. It's a summary. Then we'll begin with the communications. That's pages 105 through 142. We'll go ahead and start with the general suggestions. And I know some of our residents enjoy some of the fun suggestions that we get on a monthly basis. So with the current instructions from our board, I have started assigning responsibility to some of these suggestions, and in fact some of them have already been completed. So the first suggestion is to please paint numbers on the shuffleboard courts.
What number is that?
We're on page 105.
105, thank you.
Page, number 1, please paint numbers on the shuffleboard courts. I did ask our handyman service to provide us how much would it cost for them to get out there and paint the lines. I know that there has been some we were waiting to see if we were going to do some exterior renovations, and so we didn't want to spend the money to have it painted if we were going to renovate the shuffleboard courts. But I think it's going to be a while until we do it, so if somebody wants to play, I think we should paint the numbers, the lines. So I'll come back and give a report on that. Second suggestion is, could we use a fob to get into the exercise rooms at any hours during the day or night? This could record who enters but allows us to go in at 5 a.m. or 9 p.m., which is more convenient. I know the fitness centers at other places do this, and we work. So this is a policy, and so I would look to the board to provide me instructions on whether or not that is something for consideration.
I have asked Jerry to identify the cost, the marginal cost of opening earlier or staying open later at both the lodge and the summit, so we can make some sort of decision as to whether or not we want to expand the hours and what it would cost. Once we have that number, we'll send it to the finance committee to see if it's possible to put it in the budget. We'll also probably look at some of the holiday closings to see if I'd gotten a request from someone who said, my relatives only visit on the holidays, and the holidays you're closed, and I want to show them what the lodge looks like from the facilities, and maybe we open it up for a few hours so they can do that. Bring their grandparents in here and show them where they're living. So we'll take a look at that as well.
Okay. Number 3, please extend closing time at the summit to be either 8 or 9 p.m. as 7 p.m. is too early. Believe many of my neighbors have already requested, kindly do not ignore, as it's helpful to all to be able to exercise more. I think this falls under the same request. How much will it cost to do so? Number 4 is have Lodge Senior Management prepare a fact sheet every Friday or following Monday that gives abbreviated information of key events taking place in the upcoming week to keep the new staff members up to speed. Lately, I've had 2 instances in 1 week where neither of the 2 new girls at the front desk could answer the most basic questions regarding district delegate elections. And I think some of it will be helpful with our daily information. However, I am uncomfortable with lodge attendants answering particular legal questions in relation to, say, elections or anything of that nature. If the basic question was, what time are they counting ballots, that would be appropriate, but as far as specific information, I would refer homeowners to Eric, Cindy, or myself. Number 5, install flashing light at stop sign at Mesa Verde and Circle to minimize running of stop sign. And I do know the Safeties and Facilities Committee at one time did review it. We will submit it back to them. The initial concern was those residents that live right there on Mesa Verde and Four Seasons Circle may not want some flashing sign in their backyard, but we are submitting it back for consideration. All right, number 6, please put a hand sanitizer dispenser in the gym to decrease colds or flu. If that hasn't already been done, then it is in the works, and it's just a matter of getting the part ordered and installed. Put handles back on the doors, very inconvenient, and we fob in every time we enter. That was a board decision, and so it would be up to the board to reconsider that decision. You want to put it on for consideration next? So do you want to discuss it?
What was the basis of the decision to remove it?
The basis of the decision was that we have a very active lodge facility. I'm sure everyone can see that. And there had been a number of instances where residents or their guests were coming in that one side and were going around the wall by the popcorn machine and going down the hall without fobbing or signing in. It was an avoidance to get away from the fobbing in or signing in. And so it was decided that it was an encouragement to get everybody to come through the front door.
Question. What is the purpose of fobbing? Do we keep a tally on people that fob? Because we don't fob when we go out, so you don't know if somebody's come in and gone out. You know they've come in, but you don't know if what's the purpose of the fobbing?
There's a variety of reasons. You know, it is an ability to watch our activity and see how many people are coming in. It does keep track of how many people, say, go into the spa building, so we can see how active that building is. It's also a control mechanism for keeping guests with their residents, and also for those homeowners that have had their privileges suspended, we're able to make sure that they do not use the facilities if that's the case. I mean, there's a number of reasons why. If there's more beyond that, I'm not really sure behind history.
Because doing the tally, if a husband and wife come in, and they, you use one fob, you don't know. So I mean, keeping the count.
No, it's a tool for the board to use. It won't ever be perfect, and it won't always make everybody happy. But as far as the last item, as far as making sure that people that should not be using the facility are not using the facility, it's been pretty successful. We've been able to enforce that for the most part. Okay. Do you want to have further discussion, or do we want to put it on for?
I'll tell you what, it's only been in existence for about a month?
Yes.
Well, let's wait a couple more months and then reassess
And bring it back.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and bring it back.
Okay, the next item is please install digital converter in the workout room so we can again get all the TV channels. I have been told that April 21st is our gift day, so that will happen on April 21st. Number 9, would really like a Tai Chi class. I know that was submitted at the last meeting, and the instructions were that they should contact Cindy for an interest list. Has anybody done that?
Yeah, we just have to have at least 10 paying interested individuals or we can't have the class because Carmen can't support the instructor. Yeah.
And how many do we have?
I don't think we have 10 right now. I think the last.
I turned one in.
Say what?
50 names on it. I turned one in up at the front desk, attention Cindy, with 50 names on it about a week ago.
Okay, I will look into that. Thank you.
Okay, the next suggestion is to get rid of the ducks in the pool. It's my favorite.
Are we talking real ducks or?
Oh, yeah.
The real ducks.
Real ducks?
Okay,
Where do you
so we have been advised by the Wildlife Regulation Society or whoever is out there tracking this, we cannot touch the ducks. However, we can encourage them to use someone else's pool. And so we have been out there, and if somebody's trying to use the pool and they don't want to share their pool with the ducks, we kind of shoo them away. On occasion, and I'm not sure if the neighbors have heard, we've used the air horns that scare them away. In any way possible without touching the ducks, we encourage them to evacuate. So we are really restricted on how we can address that situation. So it's kind of a seasonal thing anyway, so we'll just have to monitor
We
it.
can drain the pool.
We're not draining the pool. Okay, next suggestion. Please keep TVs in the lodge and Summit off Fox News. Sports, food, travel, anything else. It's offensive to some residents. So our instructions previously has been that we do start the TV channel off on something like the Travel Channel, the Food Network, or something that is, thank you, it's subject neutral. And if a homeowner comes in and requests a specific channel, then we change it. So if a resident has asked us to put it on Fox News, then we do. So if there's other recommendations, then I would suggest you speak to the lodge attendant and they can change the channel for you. Okay, next suggestion is please help me add another language installed in the computers for MS Word, just like a Chinese version. And I do know that Eric has spoken to one of the residents that need assistance and is working with that resident to, when they use the computer, they can adjust it so it does have the ability to convert languages. So if anyone needs assistance with that, we're more than happy to help with that. And then I have 2 suggestions for the summit. And the first one is, when is the pace clock going to be moved to a more appropriate place? And we purchased a cart for the pace clock. I just need to find out when it will be delivered. I believe it should have been delivered, so it is a mobile clock, and you can move it to wherever you want to use it. The second suggestion is to install rubber coating on the lock latches. Apparently, we've had a couple of bad scrapes in the men's and women's restrooms, and it says you can buy the rubber at Harbor Freight. So we'll look into providing that. We just need to figure out what that is. Is there any questions regarding the suggestions? If not, in the packet, there were a couple of communications that the board needed to review. One was on page 133. If you can please turn to 133. When we complete our orientations, we provide the new homeowners a lot of information. And one of the lists of information are helpful numbers. We give City of Beaumont numbers, Verizon, Time Warner, and the waste management numbers. I have been requested by a particular resident that since there seems to be a challenge in signing up for Time Warner service or Verizon service in the new areas, they think it's inappropriate to provide those numbers. And so I advised the homeowner I would definitely bring it to the board's attention, and if you wish to have that removed from the helpful numbered list, then we would. I just need further direction from you. Some homeowners think it is helpful and some did not.
Is this information
how many
on
are
the
we-
website?
Is it on the website?
Yeah.
I think it is.
I think it might be.
Yeah.
Because, some of the current residents need to get in touch with Time Warner also. It's not that we're promoting it, we're just, providing.
It's numbers at a
list
glance.
of- A list of potential contacts. So I would think we would be expanding the list, not restricting it.
Okay, thank you. I just needed instructions. Thank you. Okay, and then we also received a letter from a homeowner regarding the billiards room used for open play. This issue was submitted to Rules and Regulations for consideration. Cindy and Danya had provided information as far as when the clubs use it and when homeowners would be able to use it for open play. We'll present it back to the Rules and Regs Committee for their review and recommendations at the next meeting. And that was it for management report, unless you had any questions. Okay. Our next order of business is old business, and we didn't have any. So we'll go ahead and move into new business.
And first on new business is a proposal for the refrigerated deli case. Now, do you want me to go through each proposal, or? Yes?
It doesn't have to be done today. I prefer we defer till the next meeting.
Okay. The deli case could wait till the next meeting.
Well, that's already been purchased.
Oh, it isn't?
It has not been?
No.
I thought that's what,
Bill was clarifying that the deli case is not strictly limited to Coke or Pepsi. It's a deli case that has other items in it.
But I thought it has already been purchased.
No, it's been approved by the bistro and the safety and facilities and the finance committee, but it's not been purchased. Let's see, next, the outdoor furniture, again, not an emergency purchase. The lodge pool chairs, not an emergency purchase. The drapery cleaning, not an emergency purchase. The recirculation pump for the summit to have hot water is not an emergency purchase. The fashion show would be something that would need to be reviewed.
Probably timely if we.
Yes.
It's actually just an informational.
It's what?
It's really just an informational.
Okay.
proposal. Yeah.
So we'll skip it.
The fashion show's already been approved, right?
Right.
Okay.
Let's see, the proposal for a projector is not an emergency purchase.
No, would you make sure that the committee that handles technology reviews that
Yes.
before it comes back?
We will send that to the ad hoc tech committee. Let's see, the country western dance.
It's more informational because
It's already been approved.
in
Let me
November.
just say something about the projector. This is a request from a club. I would like to see that what comes from the board comes from one of the committees. I mean, we have 11. We should be able to find one that does it and looks across the community. I mean, projector, I'm personally in favor of it, but I want to make sure it's the right projector that satisfies the greatest number of needs that we have within the community. And by putting it into the committee system and forcing them to coordinate with everyone else, and other committees will have an opportunity to say, hey, maybe I could use that if you just put this bell on it, this whistle on it. It may be something EPP could use. It may be something the social committee could use. I don't know, but let's get one projector that satisfies the greatest number of needs, and we have to have a process that helps us do that. So that's why I'm saying do it that way.
Next is the annual review, which Jerry will touch on.
Okay, so per the California Civil Code and per the community documents, the association is obligated to send out the year-end annual review or audit report to the homeowners 120 days after the fiscal year end, which would be April 30th. The CPA review has not been submitted to the community yet for review to the Finance Committee. So it's my understanding that we are supposed to receive that sometime this week, possibly early next week. And it's my recommendation that we send it to the Finance Committee. Noel has said he would call a special meeting to review it. And if there are no changes or concerns with the review, I would suggest that the board authorizes to mail that out by the end of April.
Recommendation?
I think we should do it. If it's a requirement from who?
It's the civil code. It's and your governing documents.
Why is it taking so long to get the audit?
I am not exactly sure. The CPA, it just has not completed it. My understanding is we have one of the most complicated financial reports since we not only have a master budget, we also have 2 cost center budgets. And so it's not just a straight review of one set of financial statements.
And this is the annual for, as of January through December 2015.
That's correct.
Need a second?
Second. It has to be done.
All in favor?
It has to be done.
Aye.
After, can I change that? After review and approval by the Finance Committee?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, next, there is one proposal that does need to be taken up. It's a swamp cooler above the bistro kitchen. It's fallen into disrepair and needs to be replaced ASAP because it is a health code violation if it's not. Total cost to replace that would be $9,561, which would be a reserve expense.
I make a motion that we approve this particular evaporative cooler for our bistro, or for our, yeah.
It's for the bistro.
I second.
Second?
I second.
Okay. Can we put Cokes in it?
If we can get up on the roof.
No.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that is it for old business. The next, new business, my apologies. Next meeting will be, hold on, May 12th at 1 p.m. here in the ballroom.
And then did you want to, Lynn, before we adjourn, Lynn, did you want to talk about the meetings planned? We do have a slide of the upcoming, there we go.
Yeah, I think you showed them.
There you go, right there.
Yeah, here's 3 meetings that Jean and Claudine and I will be hosting. The first one, this is a military term, as I forewarned you. A hot wash is sort of a more intensive debriefing. We had a lot of things go right. We had great support from the community, fantastic work by the delegates. We want to make sure we record how it all went, what went right, what went wrong. There were some issues. There was some confusion on how to vote twice for one candidate. We had some ballots that only had 1 vote on it when they could have had 2. So that means we're not communicating properly, and we need to address that. There was some confusion as to when the votes were actually going to be counted. As I mentioned earlier, the delegates sat up front and they were given a form that we didn't see, and suddenly we had numbers. So that part of the process needs a little bit more visibility. I think there's some confusion on the application form because the application form directs you to fill out certain information, which you may want to put out more information, but you look like you're constrained. And yet that's the only thing that gets sent out to the people who are not resident here. So any candidate who wants to canvass all of the potential voters got limited to just what was mailed out. And they could have just been given a blank sheet of paper and say, whatever what you think the voter wants to know on there, your background, your agenda, and they could have used 300 words. As it was, they were limited to about 15 if they followed the directions. If they didn't follow the directions, they could have done that. So we need to clean up some stuff, and while it's fresh in everybody's mind, we want to do that. The second one, I think I have mentioned that I'm meeting along with Jean and Claudine with the committee chairs to give them an opportunity before we get too far into how we're going to make the committees open to everyone, to give us their thoughts as to problems that we need to put in the guidance that we're going to send back to them. And then finally, the State of the Association in May. By May, we hope to have a good handle on things we're going to be trying and doing. We want everyone to be aware of it, and this is probably something I think should be done annually anyway. It won't be an input session from you, but it will be an output session from us. There will be other town hall meetings. I envision that we will probably have close to one a month in which we will be drawing in input. But this particular one is we'll be doing more of what we did today in putting out information. So that's what's in the future, and that's it.
I'd like to kind of add one before. I noticed that we talked about the ad hoc committee and the renovation, and they said they'll take suggestions in 2 weeks. I'd like to see a meeting where the architect has the opportunity to explain what his plan is, his architecture plan is, so the people in the community have an opportunity to take a look at it before a decision is made to go forward with that plan. That may not be the plan that the total community wants to see, and we're paying for it as a community, and I'd like to see more input from the community on that plan before we actually go forward to construction design as built.
I'll take that back to ad hoc, and they can schedule the meeting.
Thank you.
You have anything? No. Claudine, anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
That's it. Concludes our business.
Thank you.